Hey everyone, this lab is a little bit new, so I wanted to post a little video on what you should do to do the lab. So all the explanations on what to do with the lab are up top here, right? So in this experiment, you'll use a simulation, the same one that I used in the lesson. It'll determine how the time of the period depends on the length of the string and acceleration due to gravity. You'll also determine a value for pi, which we know is 3.14. So to run the simulation, all you have to do is Google search PhET pendulum. There we go. Lab. And it's just the first one that appears here. Okay, and this will come up and you'll just click on the little play sign, and then you want to click on the lab over here, and then you're set up. Okay, so the first part of this lab is just qualitative. So it goes through the explanation, so make sure you keep your amplitude the same for all of them. So use a slider on the right hand side to increase or decrease the length. Make sure you always push reset and keep your amplitude the same. Does this increase or decrease your period? So what you would do is you would just, so if you want to make it at 30 degrees, you can open up your period timer here and then do that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to stop it with this arrow here. You're going to increase that length. You're going to put it to the same amount. You're going to push your period timer there and just record in the lab. Does it increase, decrease, or remain the same? So you can see that it increased in this situation. And it's just for your own knowledge, so that you have some practice with it. Okay, so do all of these. This should take you about 5 minutes, and it's just sort of playing around with the lab. Okay, so this is the actual lab part. So we want to get everything back to our original values. So this one, we're going to be changing our length. So we're going to record some values in here. So if you could print off this lab to record all those values, that'd be helpful. You can probably type it in as well. So what you'll be doing, it's going to reset everything. So you need to control you need to write down all your controlled variables. So I'm going to control mass. I'm going to control gravity. These are the two that I'm going to control. So my controlled variables is my gravity is 9.81, and you can make it anything you want. You can choose any gravity, play around with it. You can do Jupiter, you can do Moon, you can make it fun like that. And then my mass is 1 kilogram. Okay, so you need to record those values. So what you'll do is just start off small right here. So I can start off at 0.1, record that value as 0.1. My variable that I'm manipulating is my mass. My unit is kilograms, like that. And then I want to see how that affects my period, and my unit is seconds, right? So 0.1, and then you can use this slider to increase by 0.1s. But you see you can only get 10 in for that, so you can just use this to increase it. So my next one can be 0.18, and then my next one can be 0.25, and like, it doesn't matter. They don't have to go up by a linear amount. Some people get so focused on making sure they go up by 0.5s, it doesn't make a difference. Just try to use the whole thing, because the maximum is 1.00. So try to use all the ones in between, like that, and get 12 points for it. So then you'll do the experiment. Another controlled is our amplitude. So don't do your amplitude crazy, or else it'll affect it. I would say try to stick around 30 degrees here, and make sure you turn that friction to none. So that's also one that we want to record in there, is that our amplitude is 30 degrees. Okay, so you'll do that experiment. And that's it. And then you do the same thing for gravity. So you want to control your mass, you want to control your length, you want to control your amplitude, do all that, and we're going to change our gravity, and we're going to see how that affects our period, right? And you'll get all that data for that. So this is for straightening out the the graph. Okay, so we are going to make 4 graphs here. So our first graph that we're going to make is going to be a, our manipulated goes down here. So our manipulated is our length in meters, and then we have period in seconds, and this is a period versus length lab. And we know that they don't have a direct relationship, they have a square root relationship, so you should get a graph that looks like something like this. It might not be perfect, it might look pretty straight, but it should look, hopefully, something like that. That's going to be our first graph. So what we need to do is we need to straighten that out. So our formula is t equals 2 pi square root L over G, right? To straighten it out, you need to make it look like it does in the formula. So t is fine, but these L's need to be square rooted. So that's what we're going to use this next part for. So what you're recording here, we're not going to change anything about our y, because our y is our period in seconds, and that's fine. So you can just record all the values that you had in here in the second column in this responding variable here. So just record all those values. So it might be like 1.2 seconds, 1.3 seconds. And then for this one, we manipulated. So that's going to go on our x. That's our length in meters. And you just record all the values. So we had 0.1, 0.18, 0.25. Record all those values that you have there. This third column here is what we're going to do to L. Right, so I'll give this first one away. So because L is square rooted, to make it straight, we need to square root all of our values. So this is going to be square root L, and then our units become square root meters. So you're going to take all these values that you have here, and you're going to square root them. And you're going to, from this one, so this is our y, this is our new x, we're going to make a new graph. So we're going to go down and we're going to make a t versus square root L in square root meters graph, right? So this is t in seconds, and this is going to be a t versus square root L graph. And when you do that, you should get a nice straight graph. Okay. So what our goal from this is, we're going to select 2 points. We're going to calculate slope from this line of best fit. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our formula, and we're going to put it into y equals mx form. And this is our y, this is our x, so we can see what our slope is equal to, right? And we know what g is. This is one of our controlled variables. This is the one that you wrote down. We know what 2 is, and what we're looking for is we're looking for a value for pi. And I know we know that pi is 3.14, but the reason that I chose you to find pi is because this can validate if you get the right answer or not, right? So if you find your slope equals this, you rearrange your formula, solve for pi, and you get a value that's somewhat close. You know, if you get 3.5, that's good. If you get 2.8, that's good. It should be around 3 is what we want for a value. And some people will get 3.14. Some people won't. That's okay. So that's what you're going to do for this lab. Okay. Then in this one here, right, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to record those y values. So our y value is going to be our responding. This is going to be our manipulated from our second set of data. And this is what we would change in order to get that graph straight. Make it look like it does in the formula, and then fill out this data here. So you're going to make a graph of, so you're going to do one graph of period versus g, which won't get you a straight line. You should get something that looks a little bit like that. And then you're going to do a period versus, well, what would you change to g in order to make it straight? And then from the second graph, you also want to find pi. That's what you want to do. Okay. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, send me pictures of your work if you're not getting the correct answer. But there's going to be test questions on this, so it's really important that you try this. This is a really important skill that you're going to need for Physics 30. I would say if there's anything that you do all quarantine, this would be the lab that would be most important for your future in Physics 30 next year. Okay, so I'm more than happy to help you with anything that you need. I'll give you some time next week to work on it. So, oh, yeah, I'm recording this video the week before, so I'm going to give you time this week to figure it out. So let me know how it goes, and that's all.